Good morning. This is Jason Dean coming live at you again for another Film Fanatic show. It is Wednesday already. It's about 10:44. Hope everyone's doing good. A pretty warm day again. Temperatures are crazy. We had some snow the day before yesterday, which was a pretty nice storm. And not a big storm, a couple inches, but enough to put the white powdery stuff everywhere. So, but up and down temperature wise. It's not very cold. But this winter's been good. I'm not a big fan of winter, even though we had some pretty seriously chaotic weather a few weeks ago with all these torrential like storms, rainstorms, and flooding and all this crazy shit. Um, when it did get into finally get into winter mode, it's been pretty cool. But anyway, hope everyone's doing good. I been pretty knee deep in the Game of Thrones world. Anybody who's been checking out this channel, I've been uploading all of the videos. Or I should say, a video on all of the seasons from Game of Thrones. There are, which it's funny, I didn't realize until the other day, but there's 8 seasons, and I'm on season 6. I'm kind of midway through and loving it, loving it. And so I've been uploading a video about each season. So it's very, very cool. I'm at the point now, I guess, where the original series, they're all based on the original books, and so now the books have, I guess, concluded, and these last 2 or 3 seasons are created from that, not on the actual source material. But I don't really. I mean, I do see a difference, but I think it's really good. I The writing is a little bit different. The maybe the pacing is a little bit different, but it's still really good. And if anything, there are more surprises, more people getting offed, killed left and right. That's one thing I noticed that's happening. So, but I'm still loving it. And I've heard a lot of people say that the last couple of seasons are not very good, if not terrible. And I wish I didn't hear anything negative so I could just watch it without any kind of thing in my brain about it. But so far, it's in these last few seasons, I'm totally into it. So anyway, in between doing the videos on Game of Thrones, I'm still doing reviews on movies and whatnot. Lately, I've been doing music related shows, and that's been a lot of fun. I just did one the day before yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I did a show on Jimi Hendrix, the Band of Gypsies, live at the Fillmore East, which is my favorite period of Jimi Hendrix, and I did a show on that. And I've been doing quite a few other shows. I did a show on Kiss. I did a show on Miles Davis Quintet. Um, Autechre. I did a show on the Chemical Brothers. So I'm always trying to mix things up. And one of the genres I feel like I don't really ever cover, and it's one of my favorite genres, are the martial arts genre. I have always loved martial arts movies. I haven't actually watched them in a while, but I used to as a kid, overdose on all the old school kung fu movies that were on TV. Huge Bruce Lee fan. Bruce Lee's still one of my biggest influences, just his general philosophy and his movies. Huge Jackie Chan fan. The old school Jackie Chan movies, especially. There's a ton of amazing martial arts movies, and I just realized I've never really done any shows on them. So today's show is going to be on one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic, film of Bruce Lee, Bruce Lee's career, and that is Enter the Dragon from 1973. I have not seen this movie in such a long time, but again, I used to watch this movie constantly as a kid. It used to be on television all the time. It was like in syndication. It was probably, as a kid, probably my first. martial arts movie I ever saw. And when I was in my 20s, or like I should say when I was in probably about a senior in high school, and then when I went to college, I really got into martial arts movies even more. And I started to buy lots of martial arts movies and seeking out lots of movies. And it's just it occurred to me today that I just haven't done any videos really on martial arts, and martial arts films are some of my favorite. Action martial art movies are some of my favorite. It's one of my favorite styles. And Enter the Dragon was, for me, that film that was, my introduction to the genre, as well as Bruce Lee. Of course, so many great things, so many amazing things to attribute to Bruce Lee. His biggest contribution to the world of martial arts, of course, is Jeet Kune Do, which was a style that doesn't really have a style per se. Bruce Lee was a very controversial figure at the time amongst other martial art practitioners. He came from China, and he basically came from different styles that originated from China, kung fu, and various other styles, and kind of steeped. They were steeped in this classical world, and basically they were looked at as styles of martial arts that could not be taught to white people, basically. And each particular style at that time had this idea of that particular style was the superior style. It was this very competitive outlook on martial arts. And Bruce Lee was a very revolutionary figure because he took those kinds of styles of martial arts and basically, for all intents and purposes, threw out what you could use in a real life situation and keep those things that you can use. So he took a lot of these classically based martial arts systems, and basically he looked at a lot of these systems as having a lot of faults. They were filled with an excessive amount of fat, and a lot of the applications that they were using, or what they were all about, were just not things you could actually use. They would not help you in a real life self defense scenario. So he basically would throw out a lot of those aspects and use certain things that he felt could actually be used. So he would pick from various styles, Western boxing, even fencing, kung fu, karate, you name it. And he made this hybrid fusion style called Jeet Kune Do, which was based on this principle, or this idea that it's a style without really a style, without necessarily a identity. And he didn't believe that one system was superior to the other. He felt there were good things and bad things in each one, and that you needed to kind of sort those things out. Whereas traditionally martial arts felt, well, if you're a black belt in kung fu, or you're a black belt in, say, aikido, well, my style is superior to yours. It's this ancient tradition, so it's been around for thousands of years or what have you. So my style is automatically the most superior and the most battle ready. But in real life situations or real life application, about 80% of those techniques would not actually work. So he was very controversial for going against the grain. And then he also believed that, well, anybody and everybody should, have the chance to explore and learn martial arts and its benefits. So he was one of the first people also to open up schools. When he moved to California, he opened up these various schools, and he basically was teaching martial arts to anyone who was into learning this art form or these various art forms. So that those two things were hugely shaped the world that we're in as far as martial arts, but they were also incredibly controversial at the time, especially with practitioners of that period that were supposed black belts in these various styles. Very interesting. And Enter the Dragon was the movie, like I said, was the movie that got me into martial arts movies. It was the first movie I had ever seen with Bruce Lee as a kid. It was also the first martial arts movie I had ever seen. And again, 1973. This is a really great special edition. I'm definitely going to watch it soon as I'm probably finished up with Game of Thrones, which will be not too far away. I'm gonna I'm gonna watch this because it's been so long. But this is I don't own any Bruce Lee movies on Blu-ray. I might own one or two martial arts movies on Blu-ray, but not really. They're mostly on DVD. This is a really great special edition copy. I got this a long time ago. I might have bought this. I might have bought this when I first started getting into collecting movies. This was probably, yeah. So it's been years since I've owned this, and I watched the hell out of this. But it's been a hot minute since I've actually watched it. So I'm looking forward to sitting down. But I mean, such an iconic movie, incredible music. It was directed by Robert Klaus. Amazing cast, of course. You have Jim Kelly, amazing. John Saxon, who a great character actor. He was in so many great horror movies, exploitation movies in the '70s. Probably the best one was he was in Black Christmas. Anna Capri, Robert Wall, another iconic martial artist. Just so damn good. Chuck Norris is also in this film, of course, the legendary Chuck Norris. Um, Shin Klen, so great, another icon. Peter Archer, Angela Mao. Again, this movie is just so it's the very definition, I think, of badass. Bruce Lee, again, just an amazing inspiration for me. His whole kind of look at life for me has always been such an influential aspect of where I've always tried to move things towards without intention, without necessarily intent. The whole like Jeet Kune Do philosophy, obviously is an Eastern based philosophy. There are aspects of it taken from Buddhism, but he created his own thing around that. The whole principle or idea of being, you know, looking at, say, in a metaphorical sense, looking at situations that people go through, with, say, particularly, say, around adversity. Looking at them as at those particular situations, metaphorically as being like a rock. And his principle or idea of the person or yourself dealing with that adversity as being a water, and being able to adjust to that situation, and being able to flow through it and move on to the next situation. The kind of the water to rock principle. And to me, that's always been just such a wonderful way of looking at life and its adversity, and realizing that there are going to be these hurdles. There is going to be all this adversity, and there's going to be all of these wonderful things that can happen too. But the idea of the person acting as like where they're in their own cockpit, and they're able to kind of weather the storm and make adjustments, and not necessarily hold on to things, not necessarily let those things drown you. Being that water, being that element that can flow through things, that can move on to the next thing, which could hopefully lead to the next kind of positive opportunity that presents yourself. And I've always felt like, after studying and reading lots of uh, quotes and interviews and what have you with Bruce Lee, that basic tenet has always stuck with me as being such an interesting concept. And this idea of just being able to flow through life, making those adjustments as you need. Um, not pretending that those things are not going to happen, but to a degree, almost embracing those adversities. And it's always been such a positive thing for me, being able to adjust to particular situations and being able to deal with it and not hold on to things necessarily. We have this very deep kind of way of reacting in the West, in regards to adversity or problems, of where we want to grab those things and make them work for us. So we want to like hold on to things. We can't let go of certain things. We can't accept certain things. And his whole philosophy basically says just letting those things go, relinquishing that your identity within those situations, and it's wonderful. But so, Enter the Dragon. I mean, it's essential. I mean, what else can you say? It's so well directed. The action sequences are amazing. Considering that this film came out in '73 is just insane. And when I was getting ready to do the show this morning, and for some reason I forgot the actual year that this came out, and I was like, wow, '73, like that's insane. It still holds up. I mean, you obviously have many, many, many years later with the explosion of the wire work that you see. The Matrix kind of brought that up, in the world of martial arts and modern day action films, which is incredible. But these films were all like, hand it was all about the hand to hand combat, and lots of these actors did a lot of their own stunt work, and just a masterful film. I can't wait to watch this again. It's been a long time. I didn't realize how long it's been. It would be awesome to buy this classic on Blu-ray, definitely, without a doubt. So, yeah, looking forward to trying to do more martial arts films, because, again, like I said in the beginning of the show, you know, one of my favorite all-time genres that really played a pivotal role in getting me into film, and got me into martial arts as a practitioner at certain stages in my life. Even though I have not done any actual martial arts in a very long time, it would be cool. I do have an interest in doing some form of it again. But the basic principles of martial arts are things that I have always kind of held held on to, or that continually influence me, so, and inspire me. So thanks again, and we will see you next time. Peace.